Hey guys, what's up? First of all, I do apologize if you hear any vroom. That's going to be like little notification sounds coming in because of Facebook Messenger, notifications of YouTube stuff and Google and whatever else from apps that I have on my phone, as well, um, as well as the fact that my family's going back and forth about what, they're bringing for Thanksgiving this Thursday. But with that said, and I also do apologize if I sound a little blah and everything. I did work today. Mostly did trailer stripping and all that. Clean. Basically stripping out trailers of Amazon returns and Kohl's returns and everything like that. Store returns, I should say. Well, Kohl's is the store, but you get the idea. You get the idea. Anyway, I wanted to come on here and talk about Survivor Series, if you will, and mostly preview the event. A lot of people obviously are doing it because, one, Thanksgiving, this Thursday, you got family and friends, you're going to be with. You got Black Friday on Friday, officially, even though a lot of places have started it up already. And then, of course, you just want to relax and everything before you have to. If you're someone like, let's say, Monster or JD from NY206 off the script, or, OTRS Central or Just Alex or whoever, A and B combos, you name it, you're going to have to rest up to, get yourself ready for Survivor Series on Saturday. Now, with that said, right now, it does feel like it's shaping up to be a good Survivor Series, probably one of the best in a while. Now, out of the two Wargames matches, a lot of people feel that the women's Wargames match didn't necessarily need to be a Wargames match. You could have just done an elimination tag. But here's the thing. WWE has always been about, as of late, throughout the years, has always been about, equaling things between the men and the women. And in this case, if the men are going to have a War Games, the women's got to have a War Games. And the women, despite how convoluted it might be, have elements storyline-wise and rivalry-wise and all that interplayed into the match. And there's a lot of intrigue that some people don't, really acknowledge at times. But the more you think about it, or the more they think about it, the more they realize, oh, that would make sense as to why this is taking place within the cage for War Games and such. And then, of course, you got the men's War Games match, which is Bloodline versus Bloodline, with two additional members. You got Bronson Reed on the new Bloodline side. You got CM Punk on the OG Bloodline side. And some people would say that, well, you could have just done 4-on-4 and been done with it. That's true. But if you're going to do 5 for the women, again, you got to equal it out. It's got to be equal, even, Steven. So with that said, the War Games on both ends of the spectrum have some interesting intrigue, whether, you want to look at it from that perspective or not. And then you got in between the matches that sound like they're going to be, good in their own right, to kind of add to that flair, to kind of really basically make this a very memorable Survivor Series at the end of the day, or at the end of the night, I should say. One that you might want to go back and watch again, just for what you will see. But with that said, let's talk about the match, and let's talk about the event and the matches that are going to take place. And as of right now, there are only 5 matches, and that's kind of been the norm under the Triple H regime in the Triple H era. Basically, that you need only 5 to 6 matches to, fill out a card, and by doing so, you give them plenty of time to, do what they basically tell the stories, or allow the talents to do what they got to do in the ring. So let's start with basically what I feel is going to be the opening match, which is going to be the women's War Games match. Again, this is the one that some people feel like, yeah, it wasn't really necessary to be a War Games match, but again, you got to equal things out. And it's going to be basically Team Nia Jax / Liv Morgan basically taking on Team Rhea Ripley. And on the Liv Morgan, Nia Jax team. Of course, you got Liv Morgan, Nia Jax. You got Raquel Rodriguez. You got Tiffany Stratton. And you got Candice LeRae. And on the Rhea Ripley side, you got Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Naomi, Io Sky, and the now added Bayley taking the place of Jade Cargill, who was attacked by someone unknown. And a lot of people have the suspicions as who that could be. I talked about that in a previous video. Go and check that out. So the question is, who is going to win this match? Well, a lot of people that are predicting, they're coming out and they have the thoughts on how, the entire night between both War Games matches is going to play out. People like Alex Hicks of Just Alex, here on YouTube, or Just Alex Central, he feels that, you got to have a face and a heel side win both War Games. You got to have a face side win War Games, a War Games match, and you got to have a heel side win a War Games match. And in his opinion, he feels the women are going to have the faces, the good guys, the good girls, the baby faces win their War Games. Well, obviously he feels, the opposite for the men. And I do have to agree with him on that. Because right now, you just brought Rhea Ripley back. You're having her wear this protective face guard because of her orbital injury. And obviously, by doing so, you're making her be, basically making her turn out to be a very badass, nearly unstoppable force that no matter how much Liv Morgan tries to beat her down and injure her, along with the help of Raquel Rodriguez and to an extent Dominic, that she's just going to keep on, getting up and coming after her. So how do you capitalize on that? Well, in my opinion, you capitalize on that by allowing her team to win. Now, could they go with Nia Jax's team? Absolutely. But I think when you look at both teams, there is a little bit of dissension. There's dissension, there's distrust, there's, intrigue, again, as I mentioned earlier, that some people are not talking about. Intrigue, like let's say on the Rhea team, of whether or not, you're going to get a Dakota Kai, do-over from 5 years ago, 5 years later. In this case, are you going to have someone on Rhea's team betray the team and nearly cost them the match? Or maybe potentially cost them the match? That's intrigue based on what happened to Jade Cargill this past Friday. That is intrigue. It's like, okay, who on Rhea's team is going to betray them? Is it going to be Naomi? Is it going to be Bianca? Is it going to be Bayley, the one that's taking Jade's place? We don't know. But, either way, it's good. It's got people interested because you got this kind of like mixture between them. Like you still have this kind of like distrust. Like Bianca appreciated Bayley helping her get their team the advantage, for Saturday. But you could tell that even though she appreciates it, and Bayley's trying to say, hey, look, you can trust me. I came to your aid. There's still going to be that issue of, yeah, I appreciate what you did, but I still don't know exactly what side of the fence you're swinging on, if you know what I mean. So that's going to create intrigue along the way, and we'll just have to see how that plays out. And then on the Nia Jax side, you have basically a little bit of intrigue between the fact that you have both women's champions on one team. Both obviously feel like they are more, I guess you could say, the leader of the team, going into the match. But then also you have that wild card of Tiffany Stratton and her Money in the Bank briefcase. Tiffany has yet to cash in. And the intrigue on the Nia Jax side is the fact that Tiffany, during the match, maybe even after, could cash in on either Liv or Nia. Just like at Crown Jewel, when she had her pick of the litter, she has the same here. But will she do it? And a lot of people feel that, it's a possibility she will. Heck, a lot of people feel that what's going on with her and Candice is just a ruse, and Candice is in on it with Tiffany. Maybe she is. We don't know. But it's going to be interesting to see exactly what plays out for both teams during this match. But I believe in the end that because you brought her back, you're making her basically seem like an absolute badass that, like I said earlier, no matter what the likes of Liv, Raquel, and to an extent Dominic do to her, she just keeps getting back up and coming after them like, hey, what you did to me, I'm just bursting it off like it's nothing. Then I feel the right outcome has to be Rhea Ripley's team. Whether there's a betrayal or not, it's got to be Rhea Ripley's team, and it's got to be Rhea pinning Liv or Io Sky pinning Liv. That's what it's got to be. The lasting image has got to be Rhea Ripley hitting a riptide on Liv Morgan, and then Io Sky either from the top of the cage, in a trash can, because I think that would be awesome to see, doing an over-the-sky moonsault or over-the-moon moonsault on Liv Morgan and pinning her. Thus, by doing so, you not only still continue the storyline with Rhea and Liv, but you also kind of give that momentum for the potential Io Sky Liv Morgan match that happens down the line. A lot of people are assuming, according to one person actually in a comment section for Alex's prediction video, just Alex that is, Io Sky and Liv is going to happen in Saturday night's main event. We'll see. We'll see if that happens then. We don't know yet. But basically, that's what needs to happen. You need to have Rhea's team win, and it's either got to be Rhea pinning Liv, or it's got to be Rhea hitting a riptide on Liv, and then Io Sky hitting, the over-the-sky, over-the-moon moonsault on her, maybe even having a trash can over her, on top, wearing a trash can, I should say, like she's done before, and doing it, and that way, again, from a story perspective, it builds momentum for Io going forward for the potential match with her and Liv, which could be Saturday's main event, or not, if not sooner. But we'll see. We will see. And also, like I said, it continues the story of the fact that Liv, when she's on her own, can't beat Rhea. She doesn't stand a chance against her. So you build that storyline up as well to where she's going to try afterwards, leading to the eventual one-on-one match to try to avoid Rhea as much as she can. So again, you got to go with Rhea Ripley's team winning. And hey, maybe they might add in some weapons like thumbtacks. And that's a visual I think, would really up the ante between Rhea and Liv, where you have Rhea, drop Liv or Raquel on some thumbtacks showing, hey, I'm willing to go as far as I have to do, or I'm willing to go as far as I have to go to get my revenge, to get payback on you guys. And if it means bringing in thumbtacks or barbed wire, so be it. So, going to be interesting to see what the outcome is going to be. But in the end, I think Liv Morgan and her team will lose. And you might say, well, if she gets put into that kind of situation, it opens the door for Tiffany, right? Yeah, it does open the door for Tiffany. But I think what's going to happen is you're going to have both Nia and Liv out. You can have Nia in a position to where basically, she's vulnerable. And I think that's when Tiffany will be like, you know what? I'm going to knock this queen off her throne and take it for myself. And that's when I think you're going to see the cash in. She's going to hit Nia, maybe with the briefcase. And then that's when you're going to see Nia laid out and be pinned by Tiffany Stratton. That's what I feel is going to happen. Nia is either going to be, still discombobulated over what happened, or she's going to be mad at Liv for losing the match. It's going to distract her enough for Tiffany to attack her from behind, cash in, 1, 2, 3. And whether or not, again, we get a betrayal on the Rhea team or not, it doesn't matter. You got to go with Rhea Ripley's team to win in the end, because, heck, I look at it this way. If there is a betrayal, it's going to be 2 in this match. 1 during and 1 after. The during will be on the Rhea side. The after will be Tiffany cashing in on Nia. That's my prediction. Now, next up, we have the U.S. Championship match, the men's U.S. Championship match. And I know a lot of people feel like, great, now we got to say that. But hey, again, all's fair in love and war, right? But anyway, we have the men's U.S. Championship match. It's LA Knight defending against the returning Shinsuke Nakamura. This is going to be a good match. It's going to be one of the best matches of the night. Both men can really work. To me, this is just going to be the beginning of a I wouldn't say long term, but it's going to be the beginning of a rivalry that's at least going to culminate, I would say, at Saturday night's main event, if not at the first SmackDown of the new year. That's what I feel, it's going to be. It's going to be that kind of it's going to be that kind of a, rivalry to where it's going to culminate on either the first Raw on Netflix, where it's obviously going to be cross-branded, just for that night, or it's going to culminate on the first SmackDown of the new year. It's going to be one of those two events, or two nights, if you will. But yeah, this match is going to be good. I'm going to surprise some people. Here. I know I might be wrong on it, but I'm going to go with a Shinsuke Nakamura win. And think about it, for a second as to why that might be. You have Saturday night's main event upcoming a few weeks later. Give LA Knight the rematch there. He wins the belt back. And then you'll have the third, you have the rubber match on either the first Raw on Netflix or the first SmackDown of the new year. And then that's how you close it out. So I'm going to go with Shinsuke Nakamura to win the United States Championship. And I do apologize for that notification there. That's a text message from my family. Now, with that said, we go on to the other mid-card or upper mid-card championship. That is the, men's, again, we got to say men's, now, and I know it's going to be a little confusing to some folks, men's Intercontinental Championship triple threat match. It'll be, and again, I do apologize for that. And I do apologize for that again. My family's I do apologize for a lot of this, folks. My family's going back and forth. I do apologize. But like I said, the men's triple threat match for the triple threat match for the men's Intercontinental Championship. It's Bron Breakker against Sheamus and Ludwig Kaiser. This will be a good match. There's no doubt. All three men are basically the kind that, think along the lines of Sheamus, Drew McIntyre, and Gunther. This is going to be good. I'm going to go with Bron Breakker winning, but I don't think he's pinning Sheamus. I think he's pinning Ludwig Kaiser. That's what I think is going to happen. So I'm going to go with Bron Breakker winning, and he's pinning Ludwig Kaiser after he spears him, and basically there's something that causes Sheamus not to be involved in the situation, which opens the door for Sheamus to get another crack at Braun 1-on-1. So I'm going to go with Bron Breakker winning the match and pinning Ludwig Kaiser. Then we get the World Heavyweight Championship match, Gunther against Damian Priest. They're doing a good job by making Gunther kind of doubt himself about beating Damian. And that's good because you're giving him character development, making him realize that, hey, one-on-one legitimately, maybe I can't beat Damian, because of the fact that he only beat Damian thanks to Finn Balor turning on him at SummerSlam. So, great storyline, great storytelling there and the character development for Gunther. But I do agree Gunther's going to win. And I think he's going to win, once again, maybe, thanks to interference by Finn Balor. But I think, he's going to win. I think he's going to win clean. Honestly, if I was to choose between the two options, he's got to win clean here. That way it develops his character to realize, hey, I might have doubt, but I can't, be that way going into the matches. If I'm going to remain champion, I got to learn that, hey, I'm not weak against somebody that I've beaten before because I had help. I can do it on my own. I don't need help. So that's a good turning point, and I think he's going to win clean. Now, if he wins with the help of Finn Balor, then I think that leads to a triple threat match for the World Heavyweight Championship on Saturday night's main event or the first Raw on Netflix. And that's going to be between Damian, Gunther, and Balor. But I believe Gunther wins, and I'm going to go with a clean win here. And then we get Roman Reigns, the Usos, Sami Zayn, and CM Punk, the OG Bloodline, against the new Bloodline of Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, Tama Tonga, Tongaloa, and Bronson Reed. This is going to be the main event, obviously. This is going to close out the show. This is going to be, I'm going to tell you this. You want to talk about physical and maybe even very violent match? It's going to be a lot. It's going to be all that and maybe more. I mean, the storyline, the storytelling during this is going to be awesome. The interactions between, Roman and CM Punk is going to be great. And the intrigue as to exactly what's going to happen in the end, is going to be interesting because we don't know if The Rock's going to show up and, be in, his gear and say, you know what, I've decided to change the rules of the match. It's going to be now one more person for the new Bloodline. Mwah. We don't know. We don't know if he's going to do that. We don't know if he shows up at the end. I'm assuming he'll show up at the end to build towards his match with Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. But we'll see. Again, it's going to be it's going to be really interesting to see how, what plays out here. If there's any kind of betrayal, maybe. Some people are saying the way Paul Heyman, dressed on SmackDown hints at a betrayal. Him interacting with Jimmy the way he did. Those little moments here and there indicate a betrayal. We don't know if that's going to happen or not. I mean, Jimmy betraying, that would play into his character as of late. We don't, so that might happen. Sami, I don't think he'll betray. No. Could there be tension, a little tension between Punk and Roman? Absolutely. But I think, honestly, if this is the main event, I know that basically 2 years ago, I think it was 2 years. Was it 2 years ago? I can't remember. I gotta look, guys. Hold on. I gotta look at this. Hold on. Gotta see something. So yeah, it was like 2 years ago. So okay, the Faces won last year. Both teams had the Faces win. And in the year before, when they finally started doing this, when they finally started doing this for basically the main roster, that being Wargames, you had the babyface team win once during its inaugural year in 2022 for the women, and then you had the heel team win to close out the show, and that was with the heel version of the Bloodline in 2022. So we'll have to see what happens, because last year you had both babyface teams win the War Games matches. You had both babyface teams win the War Games matches, and last year's women's team was only a 4-on-4 deal. So there you go. And then the men's, I think, was 5. So yeah. You had both babyface teams, win last year. So will they do that again? We'll have to see. Will they do that again? We'll have to see. A lot of people are saying that Solo's team's got to win. And whether or not it's because of a betrayal or something, or basically The Rock comes back and interjects himself into the match, makes it 6-on-5. We don't know. People are saying Solo's team's got to win, but I'm going to be honest. I think you got to have Roman's team win. Roman has, basically done the favor a couple of times already for Solo. So I think basically you got to have Roman win this one, because what it does is it builds some intrigue as to, what's the future for Solo. Because, a lot of people are feeling that Solo is not initially like the one that's going to be running this new incarnation of the Bloodline, and that is instead going to be Fatu, and that Solo is just a puppet. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens. But for me, I could say it's a toss-up, but I'm going to go with Roman's team winning. Now, do I think they're going to win even despite maybe some shenanigans, maybe, despite the tension, dissension between him and CM Punk, possible betrayals, interference by Seth Rollins? A lot of people are saying that Seth is going to stick his nose into this because Punk's a part of it. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I'm going to go with Roman Reigns winning Roman Reigns and his team, I should say, winning the match. And then I think that sets up for Solo to get tossed out of the bloodline, his bloodline, and have it taken over by Jacob Fatu, the Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, and Bronson Reed. So I think that's what's going to happen. That's what I think is going to happen in this matchup, in my opinion. But yeah, that's my predictions for War Games. For Survivor Series War Games, again, I'm going to go with Team Rhea winning, despite what happens there. I'm going to go with Shinsuke Nakamura surprising everybody and winning the title. They're setting up a, 3-match series between them where LA Knight will get the belt back on Saturday night's main event and keep it even after the rubber match on either the first Raw on Netflix or the first SmackDown of 2025. I'm going to go with Braun Breaker retaining the Intercontinental Championship, the Men's Intercontinental Championship, against Sheamus and Ludwig Kaiser, but I think he's going to pin Ludwig to do so. I'm going to go with Gunther retaining against Damian Priest, whether he gets help inadvertently or unexpectedly by Finn Balor. I'm going to go with him winning clean, as the best option because, again, you want to build his character as someone that wants to get over the fact that, hey, people say I can't beat someone like Damian on my own, but I can, and I don't need help. And I think even if Finn gets involved, either way, it's going to lead to a triple threat on either Saturday's main event or the first Raw on Netflix. But I'm going to go with Gunther over Damian, and I'm going to go with a clean win. And then, like I said, I'm going to go with Team OG Bloodline along with CM Punk and, to win the men's War Games match. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys. Let me know if you agree with any of those predictions. Who do you think is going to win the War Games match for both the men's and the women? How do you see that playing out, possibly? Do you think there will be shenanigans in both, to overall, despite the outcome? What are your thoughts? Let me know down below in the comments, as well as in the live chat during the premiere, if you're decided to do that. And that's all I'm going to say for now, guys. But let me know what your thoughts are. I do, again, apologize for the woo sounds during the recording. Again, those were text messages being sent out by my family. But let me know what your thoughts are. I'd love to hear your predictions on who you think is going to come out on top in a lot of these matches this Saturday. And until then, I'll talk to y'all later. Ring the bell for notifications. Subscribe to the channel. Like the video. Also, click on the links to all the places where you can find me on social media, including the Teespring store, and find me at deviantart.com at BVW1979. But guys, until then, let me know what your thoughts are. And until then, I'm out.